I'd like to begin with the facts, whether in a small town like McAllen and the Rio Grande, or in Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles. It is business. Big business.
Welcome to the Girl Get Visible podcast. This show talks about traffic, marketing, and business. This is for the retailers, the coaches, the course creators, and service providers who want to build a legacy, build authority, and build a brand that people admire. The visible girls who are not afraid to get out of the sea of sameness and to find her tribe. Business owners ready to go from consumers to creators and build an online presence where your tribe can find you. We talk about topics like SEO, content marketing, and business systems, but that's only because our visible girls are ready to do business like a business. Stop hiding in the crowd and get visible.
Girl, get visible. Girl, get visible. Girl, get visible. Girl, get visible.
Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of the Girl Get Visible podcast. We have another amazing interview for you guys. I told you I was bringing more interviews this year, bringing in all my super friends, and this is what we got, right? And so I am super excited today to talk to Stacy Reed, who is definitely one of my super friends, right? I'm going to tell y'all this is going to be one of those episodes where I'm asking some questions I need to know too. So I hope y'all get a lot out of it because I need to know these things. But let me tell you a little bit about Stacy so you'll understand why she's one of the super friends, right? So Stacy Reed is a fractional chief marketing officer, Facebook ads expert who elevates online brands with strategic marketing with over 13 years of corporate marketing experience. I'm going to stop there because y'all know I love my super friends who we also have a corporate background, right? So Stacy has worked for brands like Zappos, Uggs, Adidas. Like, we're not talking about a little corporate on the corner, right? We are talking like a big corporate in the mall. So I'm going to let Stacy do her full intro of herself, but y'all now can understand just a little bit of why I had to have Stacy on to talk to us about Facebook ads. We don't normally talk about Facebook ads because we're talking about organic, but organic and ads go together like PB&J. I always say, like, once you get like the fire going with organic, you can like do that whole, like, on the barbecues and they put the little lighter fluid on, you light fluid with ads. And usually even when it comes back down, it never goes back to where it was. It always like, and then down to like another higher level. So I like to incorporate ads. And I know, a lot of people sometimes are afraid of them. I know from Stacy, her background and from the work I see her do almost every day that she helps to make it like super simple, regular for us folks down here at this level so we can get to those levels of the companies that Stacy has worked for. So Stacy, thank you so much for being on. Thank you so much for sharing with us in advance. I'm going to open up the floor. I want you to just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got here from working with corporate to working with entrepreneurs.
Yes, thank you. That was a fantastic introduction. Thank you so much. Hey, y'all, I'm super excited to be here. As you said, my name is Stacy. I am a fractional chief marketing officer and a Facebook ads expert. And I've generated $150 million in sales with Facebook ads for some of the brands that Akila mentioned. And really, like, my journey in corporate is so funny because I've been a side hustler forever. Like, as soon as I got out of college, I got my first job and I just started side hustling. I was using my Facebook page that I still have now and was saying, hey, y'all, I can help you sell your book. I can help you to do this. I can help you to do that. And so I was helping people, with their social media pages, mostly focused on organic. Taught myself how to build websites because my clients were like, they had social media presence, but they didn't have a website. And I'm like, we need somewhere to send this traffic. We can't just build our business on, Facebook, right? We don't own Facebook. And so I helped them build websites with email, had my hands in a lot of different things. And then, fast forward through the career, working in tech, getting into Zappos and realizing that it was a great learning experience. I learned a whole lot about Facebook and Instagram ads. I ran ads on TikTok, Pinterest, Snapchat, YouTube, all the social platforms. I got the privilege of really working directly with Meta and directly with TikTok. And, we were meeting with these reps every week and they were teaching us how to run ads better to get more to get better performance because they wanted us to spend more money. And so the better performance we got, the more money we spent, right? And so, because we were spending a significant amount of money, it was great to be able to learn directly from the platforms. And so when I always get these kind of points in my life where I'm just like, what's next, right? Like, what do I like? How do I, am I in a place where how do I want my life to look? Like, am I happy with how my life looks? What's next? And I couldn't think of anything being next other than going full time in my business. And so I decided to really just like, it took me a couple years of determined of like, yes, I want to do this full time. But once I left, it's definitely been a ride. I left corporate in 2022. Yeah. So it's 2020. So it'll be almost 2 years in April. I left right before my birthday. And it's been a journey for sure. I started out as a traditional ad agency, realized that that's not necessarily where I wanted to be and, be in that space. I wanted to be more visible. I wanted to incorporate more of my, strategic mindset. And so, we reshifted our focus to really being fractional chief marketing officers and helping our clients in a more holistic way with their strategic marketing planning, with their, helping their team to be more successful and to build up their in-house team so that they could, get better results, creating processes and systems that they could follow so that they could scale. And so that is something that we very much enjoy. And we also have our Facebook ads course and things like that to really kind of help people who are in that place where they're looking to learn it themselves. And so really the journey from corporate has definitely been a wild ride, but it's something that it's like, it feels so good. Like, I feel like we're just so aligned with where we're at and where we're going. And I'm just so excited for the future. I'm so excited for the clients that we get to help. And yeah, that's kind of a little bit about my journey to where we're at now.
I love that. And thank you for sharing. Because not only are, of course, my audience, a lot of entrepreneurs, but also a lot of like going from corporate to entrepreneur, or we're in corporate and have their other thing, which both you and I have that background. Mm-hmm. Like, I felt people talk, like, I wasn't one of those mad at my job people. I liked it there, right? Yes. It just got really more of a bandwidth issue that's like, okay, you got to make a choice. You can't do everything. You can't do it all for the rest of your life. But I was happy.
I agree. Like, working at Zappos was fantastic. Like, I mean, it is very much is like what people think. Like, I remember we had events all the time. There was a bar on every floor. We were always going to we had all types.
No, I didn't work at that kind of corporate.
Let me tell you. And mind you, the finance department had the best bar. Like, let me tell you, like, so it was a great place to work. And it was, it was nice to be able to have that stability of a paycheck coming in every couple of weeks while I was building my business. So I always tell people like as much as I wanted to get out of corporate while I was in it. So I get it. Like, you're in it and you're like, I want to be full-time in my business. I want to be full-time. Once you do make that transition to being full-time, you will start to realize that it's a whole different beast. And that, you'll kind of start to miss that stability because you can make bigger investments and you can, invest in different things, but you already have your expenses covered. So if you're in it and you're trying to get out, I get it. I see you. I feel you. Take your time and, you'll eventually, once you get out, you'll realize how quickly you did get out. Like the time really like 2 years is crazy for me to even say that I've been out of corporate for almost 2 years. It's
I'm actually going to be 3 in June. And crazy.
Doesn't it feel crazy? Like, just saying it. It's just like,
this morning I was like, yo, you're still making it 3 years later. Because some people, don't. But I think, like you said, and I know this was the whole episode's about, but I think it's also important conversation. But like you said, take your time and be ready. Because even, I've seen people like, how much do I need to save? Save double what you think. Let's say already. Yes. How much does my business need to be making? Double what you think, right? Yes. So whatever you're thinking right now, you need, so you can leave, double that. So you can be ready, and you can be out here and be stable and continue on and be getting like those 3 years marks. Like, soon it'll be like longer than I've been at some jobs.
Yeah. Definitely.
But I want to get to the Facebook ads part. And I also, because I forgot to mention your podcast when you were, saying how you wanted to help people and things like that. I wanted to make sure, and we'll talk about it at the end, but I know some of y'all don't make it that far. So I wanted to make sure that we talk about your Road to 1 Million podcast, where you share a lot of these insights of growing a big and sustainable business. Can you talk a little bit about that, and even what was your inspiration for that part of helping entrepreneurs?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, Roadmap to 1 million is like my baby. It's the thing that I put so much energy and effort into. And what inspired me to start, so this is actually the second podcast I've had. I had another podcast that was very niche podcast, super successful, grew it to like 10,000 downloads in a year. And so I love podcasting just as a marketing, medium. And it really is because I love to speak. Like I like to, I feel like I'm more compelling when I speak. I'm not necessarily a strong writer. So I would rather, speak. Like if you need me to go live, you need me to come on, like I can do that. But if you need me to write a blog post, that's going to take me a while. It's going to take me a minute.
Why say that?
That's why SEO assist is so fantastic, right? Because it can help you like, yeah. So, and so what inspired me to start the podcast was I realized that I had so much knowledge about marketing that could help business owners and entrepreneurs and, up and coming marketers. And I wanted to, one, find a medium that aligned with my energy and, how I like to show up. And two, I really wanted to be able to tell paint a fuller picture of different areas of marketing. I wanted to be able to have guests come on and talk about lanes that I'm not, necessarily strong in. And that is really like what the inspiration was. It's just because I have so much knowledge of being able, like watching, Zappos is an 8-figure a year company, and being a part of the marketing team and watching how the marketing operates like a machine was really, really impactful for me. And I got to really see like how when you are focused on the right strategies, when you have the right support people, the right support in place, the right people in the right seats, and you have the right systems, you can really, really start to grow your business exponentially. And you can see all of this money flowing in, flowing out. And so I got to see that. And I wanted to be able to figure out how can I share this with my community? Because there is so much knowledge that you don't get from just reading stuff online. A lot of it is you have to kind of go through it. You have to, of course, reading and all that kind of stuff is important, but experiencing it and actually being behind it and actually having to make these decisions and working with these big brands, I learned so much. And I just wanted to be able to share that with people in a way that felt authentic to me. And so Roadmap to 1 million is the way that I have decided to share. And it's something that I love to do.
I love that. And, I am super pro podcast. Other than the fact that I got one. I speak to a lot of podcasts and with a lot of podcasts. I think it's one of the best mediums. I like you. I like to talk, although I can write. I definitely like to talk more. And so I think podcast and video, this is a way to, if you want to do something to share and get it out there and to really help your target audience, but not feel like I got to do like a bunch of free programs or free this, free that. Mm-hmm. Let's start a podcast. Just start talking, right? I think it's so impactful and helpful in that way. So I want to talk about, and speaking of like running ads for content, going to explain now, right? So a lot of my audience, I encourage the three sustainable. So I, of course, talk about blog content, but also talk about video and podcast content, because those are the ones that you'll put out there. They'll get searched over and over again. You'll embed into your site. You guys know the whole drill because we talked about it, right? When it comes to running ads, I feel like people don't really consider running ads to their core content and then having those call to actions and the sales coming from that, instead of just like running ads to a promo, running ads to a sale, running ads to an opt-in. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love running ads to content because the thing is like, I think that we get kind of trapped in this, like, when we think about organic social, we kind of get trapped in this world where we think we have to create, right? And because, you post a reel and it dies in the feed after a week, you post a post on Facebook, people aren't seeing it for 3-4 days, right? And so we feel like we just have to create. But honestly, and I swear, yesterday, I was literally just thinking about this with my podcast. And I just was like, I have created such great content, and a lot of y'all out there have created such great content, whether that's blog content or videos or podcasts. And it's like, you get in this world where you promote your podcast, people are listening to it, and then more new people come into your world and they start listening to your podcast. But what about that episode from, 10 episodes ago that was really, really great that people are just not listening to because they're listening, from that current episode forward, or maybe they go back and listen to a few episodes, but rarely does somebody go back to like episode 1 and start and go all the way through episode 100, right? And so I think that when you're leveraging leveraging when it comes to advertising and content, it really is a great way to drive endless traffic to the content pieces that actually do convert to leads and sales for your business. So if you have a really great blog post that you've used SEO Assist to write, you're getting some SEO traffic, you're getting leads from it, right? And that's fantastic. SEO is such a great tool. And so my philosophy is, when it comes to ads, is like, take something that's already working and that's what you light on fire with ads, like you were saying in the beginning, right? Like, if you have a really good blog post that drives leads for you and you're getting all that SEO traffic, that's a data point for you to say like, hey, this actually works, right? This is a piece of content that works for my business, that drives leads. Now let me just get endless more traffic to it. Now let me get more people actually listening to the podcast or to this particular episode, because then it's really kind of like you're just driving traffic to something that already works. And then you start to get even more leads. You start to get even more sales from that particular blog post. And whether that blog post was posted a week ago or if it was posted 3 months ago, right? You can still continue to drive traffic to it. And so I love when people are in the mindset of pairing their evergreen content with a more long-term evergreen traffic strategy, because then that really just helps to bring your whole business up. And so don't feel like, because we put a lot of effort. I know as podcasters and, bloggers and YouTubers, we put a lot of effort into creating one piece of content, right? Like creating a social media post. Yes, Reels, sometimes takes me a little while to create, but for the most part, my podcast definitely requires outlining. It requires editing. It requires recording. It requires a lot of effort to go into and lead to creating one piece of content. And adding on top of that with these pieces of content, this evergreen content, you can tell a whole story, right? Like social media is only going to give you clips of a story. So you can really make a compelling case for why someone needs to work with you, or why they need to hire a CFO at this time, or, where they need to be at in their business when they start to run ads, right? Like you can really create really great pieces of content that answer people's questions. And then the next step from there is to then figure out, how can I run and get endless traffic to it, right? Because like SEO is great and it's going to continue to bring traffic to it, but then you can also add ads to the mix so that the entire ship rises. And so I want people to stop thinking that it's organic or paid, right? Like I believe that you should be running both. I believe that organic is great for having conversations with people and creating a two-way street and really being in touch with your customers and building community. But then ads are a great volume driver. And so you can get more targeted traffic to check out your stuff. So that way you can focus your time doing other things, right? Like you don't have to get to the point where you're creating 3, 4, 5 podcasts a week to be able to grow your business. You can really just start to take ads and run it to really strategic pieces of content to then help you to grow the entire business while you're focusing on other things. So I think that it's a great strategy to combine content with advertising.
I love that. And I often talk about the marketing mix. I actually just did the 2024 trend report, and I said everything's going to be about the marketing mix. Like, not to say no one way is better than the other. We all have our faves, and our faves are really rooted around what we like to do, not necessarily always what's the best thing to do, because the best thing to do is a little bit of everything. Right?
Yeah.
And then you work in a traditional marketing department, you'll see like there's a few people, even if you've got a department of 100, they're not all 100 doing one thing. There's a few people that do social, a few people that do content, a few people that do ads, a few people that do SEO, a few people that do web. The SEO and web folks usually aren't even the same people, right?
They usually aren't, honestly.
A few people who do everything. And so even as like small team or solopreneurs, we've got to start getting in the mindset of doing a little bit, like spending a little bit of our brain power on each thing, not just on one. And I would say to myself, like, you got to get off of here, go over there.
Yeah.
Even this year with the podcast, I'm really bringing the podcast back because I was spending so much time in other places. So I'm glad you brought that part up. So we talked about kind of what we do as bigger marketing departments and kind of what's I can't even say traditional anymore, but what's the way they do it. What do you suggest for a smaller, like entrepreneurs? A lot of my audience are podcasters, entrepreneurs, like coaches, course creators, affiliate marketers. We bringing them into the mix now. What are some of the things you suggest for them if they're either considering ads or building up to ads? What are some of the first steps you would suggest for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first step, I think, would be to really kind of take a look at what actually works in your business. Because a lot of times we think that we have to reinvent the wheel. Like I was talking to one of my students yesterday for I do office hours for people who enroll in my course, and she jumped on and she was just talking about how she just was paralyzed because she didn't want to, she wasn't sure where to start. She, just was like, okay, like she has a business, she's growing, she's selling. So it wasn't necessarily a matter of she's usually trying to get ads to create sales that aren't there. She's already successful, but she's just like, I just don't know where to start with ads. And I just was like, well, what is actually working in your business? Like, let's start there. Like, what is that kind of like journey that people go on from when they come into your world to actually becoming clients? Because when you define that path, then that helps you to understand, okay, where do I need to actually place my ads, or what do I need to drive my ad traffic to in order to get more people to make it to the end of the actual journey? And I kind of like to look at it as like, it's looking at it really as like understanding what's your bridge. Like your clients are on one side, your offer is on the other side, right? Like, and there's a river in the middle and there's a bridge that you need to kind of build and have people walk over in order to get to your offer, because your offer is going to point them in the right direction to get to where they want to go. But you do have to get people to, one, come to your bridge specifically, because there's a lot of other bridges out there. And then you have to give them the information that they need to take those steps. And so what is it that draws people into your world? What is the messaging that pulls the right people into your world? What is that path that people have to take in order to go from, I have no idea who you are, to please take my money? That is really where you start with figuring out where do you strategically place ads, because ads can really hit, you can run ads to hit people in the top of the funnel. You can run ads to get people in the middle of the funnel, and you can run ads to get people to convert into sales. But really it's about understanding what is that path that your particular clients go on in order for them to actually buy from you. Is it a webinar that you do that's an evergreen webinar that people watch and then they enroll into your programs? Is it a quiz that you put together that helps people to determine which product is right for them? And so you give people, product recommendations based on where they're at. Like, is it like a checklist or something that that people download? Is it a demo for your product that people can watch and actually fall in love with the product, right? Like, so when you understand what your customer journey is, that is where you want to start, because you can then start to use your ads to really kind of hit people at different places. So understanding your messaging and what, who your clients are, what kind of, messages resonate to bring them to your bridge. And then what are those steps that people need to take in order to go from, I have no idea who you are, to please take my money. And so that's really where you start. Once you paint that picture, then it's easier to see, where do I plug ads in? And so that's what I did with this client, is like, I just was like, okay, if this is the lead magnet that are bringing people in and you have a challenge that converted really well, let's connect the dots, right? Like, let's get people and drive traffic to the lead magnet and then get the lead magnet to lead into the challenge. And so let's start there and see if that strategy works. If that strategy doesn't work, maybe we drive people directly to the challenge, right? Like, so, there isn't like a specific thing where you're like, oh, this is the one thing I need to do in order and nail this one thing in order for my ads to be successful, because it's going to require testing. It's going to require you trying some different things. But where you start is figuring out, what is that path that people take to go from cold to sold, and then making sure that you can strategically place your ads in those different places to help more people get into your world, and then make that journey across that bridge to actually taking advantage of your offer.
I love that. And I think this is a perfect segue into my next question, which is about different types of ads. Like, I know there's, just your ads to a targeted audience that you select. Then there's your retargeting ads, which is kind of my favorite place to be, because for me, they're easier. I already get traffic. We just keep talking to y'all. And then I know there's some other type of ads. So can you take us through some of those types? Because I think when people hear ads, they just think ads, not thinking of all the ways they can use it to touch those different parts throughout the journey.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I like to tell people that there are really 3 types of ads that you should be running. And this is what I like to kind of call my forever freedom funnel. And so if you are doing something that's open enrollment, like evergreen enrollment, like a SaaS product, like, a group coaching program that has open enrollment, or a membership or a course or something like that. And so what I like to say is that first type of ad that you need to be running are visibility ads. And this is what I like to say. They're really kind of the goal of the visibility ad is to build connection. And a visibility ad really is where you're going to take your podcast episodes, your blog posts, your YouTube videos, videos, some of those reels that you have posted that are really, really engaging, some videos that you may have, like a webinar or something that you may have, or a live video, I should say, not a webinar, but like a live video. Let's say you've done a live video on Instagram or Facebook, and you want to take some clips out of that and really kind of use that for visibility. And so what that does is that helps to build you an audience. So you start running some low cost ads, low cost visibility ads. They're like one of the lowest cost ads other than boosting posts, which I do not think you should boost posts. And we can talk about that when we get there. But visibility ads are really a great way to put your content out there, get more people in front of it. And on the back end, what Facebook is doing is building an audience. What they're doing is like anybody who goes to your website is getting put into an audience. Anybody who goes and, watches one of those videos that you've posted, like if you have some reels that do really well and you start to run some video view ads, anybody who watches those videos, they get put into an audience of yours. It's like, they interacted. Facebook's now putting them into an audience, because then that audience is what you're going to use for your second tier ads, which are your lead generation campaigns. So you have your visibility ads that are out there building an audience for you. Then you have lead generation campaigns, which are a great kind of way to get the people who have watched your stuff to actually now take that next step and become an actual lead. So someone's watched that live video that you put out, they've listened to that podcast episode, or they've gone to your website in some kind of way. And then you put them into an audience where you're saying like, hey, now I want you to sign up for the thing. Now I want you to sign up for the webinar. Now I want you to take the quiz. Now I want you to sign up for the PDF, because you've given people a little something in that visibility side that gets them to know who you are, gets them to hear your voice, hear your methodology, see how you approach things. People start to be a little bit more intrigued. You give them a piece of value that's free, that they don't even have to sign up for in that visibility place. And then you're like, hey, now I want you to take the next step. Now that you know a little bit about me, come on and join my email list. So then you can watch my webinars and you'll get my email sequences and that kind of thing. And that's really kind of like, retargeting kind of plays a little bit in that field as well, because you can run lead generation campaigns to cold audiences, which is a good strategy, but you can also run those lead generation campaigns to people who visited your website, people who've engaged with you on Instagram, people who've engaged with you on Facebook, right? So you have a lot of opportunity with your lead generation campaigns to then get people onto your email list. And then the final type of ad that I think that you should definitely running are sales campaigns. And so these are your traditional ads that are running to getting people to actually go and buy the thing. So whether that is a, low ticket offer, whether it's a high ticket offer, whether it's booking a call with you, right? Like you want to make sure that anybody who's engaged with that lead generation campaign, maybe they've signed up for your email list, then you're running sales campaigns to them and saying like, hey, buy the thing, buy the course, enroll in the membership. Because then, people are going to go to your website. I think I saw a stat recently that it was like 70% of the people who go to your website are not going to come back, right? Like 70% or more people are going to visit your website or visit your landing page, and they're never going to return. So what we want to do is make sure that we capture some of that traffic. And so we're running sales campaigns to people who have visited the website, who've joined our email list and haven't actually bought anything from us, so that you can get that sales messaging in front of those people. Like I was in a mastermind group one time, and this guy who was leading the mastermind, he just was like, if you want to make more sales, you have to make more offers. And so if people are not even making it to the sales page, or people are abandoning your sales page, then that's when ads will kick in, because what they're going to do is they'll look at your sales page, and then what they're going to do is they're going to get on Facebook, or they're going to get on Instagram, because they're distracted. They're distracting themselves, or they're like, oh, I want to catch up with my friend, something like that, but then your ads are going to pick right up. And so this happens to me like all the time. For example, like I just was planning a trip and looking at hotels. So I'm on the Hilton's website looking at hotels, and what I do, I get distracted because I have a million other things going on. I get distracted, but then I end up getting on Facebook, and I get ads from Hilton that say like, hey, continue, finish your booking, right? Like this is the hotel you were looking at, da, da, da. And so you can actually do that with your ads. So it's not something that's only reserved for big brands. It's really just about having the right strategy in place to make sure that you're hitting people at each part of the funnel. So that's visibility ads are more like top of funnel ads. Your lead generation campaigns are like that middle funnel ads. And then your sales campaigns are that bottom of the funnel types of ads. So those are really the three ads that I think you should run. There are a lot of different ways you can run ads, but those are the main three that I focus on.
I love that. And I said I was going to get something that was going to bless me. That blessed me. So thank you. Yeah. I am definitely going to be mixing it up, because I do plan on running ads very soon. Again, I used to do them a lot, which is where the next question is coming. I used to do them, I say a lot, but I used to do them enough. And then I kind of fell off of doing them, and not for any other reason, not that they weren't necessarily working, but they just got stressful. You know, the copy's got to be perfect, and the imagery's got to be perfect, the video's got to be perfect. And I just was like, you know what? I can't. I'm a Virgo. I'm a perfectionist at heart. Something telling me it's got to be perfect because that makes me think it's not perfect even more. And I just quit. Did. I'm being very honest. Like I'm
That really happens to a lot of people, to be honest.
for everyone else, because somebody else is like, yeah, I quit for that reason too.
Yeah.
But and it's funny because I swear God must have knew we was about to have this interview, because just yesterday I saw an ad with a woman in a video, woman I'd never seen before. She wasn't, and not saying everybody needs to have makeup, but she clearly did not try that morning. She was literally holding a cat. And the cat's like moving around and she's like holding a cat. And she's talking about building a data-driven business. And it's funny, I scrolled by and then I had to go back like, yo, is she really in this ad holding the cat? And not the cute, like, you know, in the movie,
Yeah.
petting the cat. This cat was like on her thing and it was rolling around. Like, this was you clicked on your camera. She even had the camera up here. So she was looking up like that. Like, there was so many things that I could have been like, this is not perfect, right? But she did. And crazy enough, I signed up for her webinar.
See, I tell people all the time, the hardest part is starting. It's literally the exact same thing that happens to this client yesterday. She just was like, it has to be perfect. I got to get this right. I'm like, how about this? Let's just start running some visibility ads so that you can start to get an idea of what's working and what's not, or what's resonating with people. I'm like, pick a couple different topics of the way are surrounding what she sold and just start to run those and just start to get, then you'll start to get some data and then you'll start to feel more grounded in what you're doing because you feel like it has to be perfect. And I'll even say, like, I had a client who, she's a startup and she is it's a tech startup for, it's more like an education tech startup for tech professionals. And so we were starting to run some ads and she argued me down that these ads of just her talking were not going to convert in comparison to the other ads. So we had an ad of just her talking with just her iPhone, just her talking to her people. We had an ad with her voiceover and we did like got somebody to do some animation, you know, for it. And then we had an ad that was like a hybrid where it was like her talking as well as some of the animation. And she argued me down that nobody just wanted to hear just from her and that the other ads were going to perform the best. But as you can guess, the ad with just her talking performed the best by far, like not even close to some of the other ads. And it's like, it really just speaks to the fact that one, people want authenticity, right? Like highly produced, even when I was at Zappos, we started to see highly produced, overly shot videos and images are not resonating and are not converting as well as something like influencer content, right? Like that's one of the things with influencer content and why it's so hot right now, because influencers have mastered the ability to be able to build an audience by being themselves, by being them authentic themselves. Or I mean, you know, if they are pretending to be a person, that's just another conversation, right? But for the most part, you know, influencers are able to really build an audience of people who resonate with their personality. And that's why they have such loyal followings. And that's why these brands are investing so much money in influencer marketing, because big brands have lost the ability to really kind of connect with their clients and connect with their people. And so us, you know, people like us, average people who have that direct line of communication from our clients, who actually have our clients just will DM us or send us a Slack or whatever, we can talk to them. We can really understand what they're going through right now. And that can help us to inform the kind of content and the things that we're creating for our ads. So that way, you know, we can actually create stuff that resonates with people. So when I shoot ads, I just pull out my iPhone and I just talk. And I have another client who she had a digital product. And I use her digital product and I love her digital product. And she had been asking me for a testimonial forever. And it just is me, you know, I have a million other things going on, right? And so I need people to remind me, send that testimonial. So finally I was like, shit, let me just go ahead and do this, right? So I just pulled out my phone, started talking about how much I love the product and, you know, that kind of thing. Sent it to her, and now she's using it as an ad. And I'm like, damn, I would have did my makeup. I would have did something, right? Like, you know,
it's me. But you know, that's a digital product. A, I'm nosy, and B, we share here. So
it's a 5-minute bookkeeper by Nicole Barnett.
Who has been on the show. So
awesome. Yes.
Has been on
look at her ad library. If you go to the Facebook ad library, you can go to look at her. Like you can see anybody's ads that are running, just, you know, for people to know. Like, you know, if you Google Facebook ad library, it'll come up. But you can search for any brand that's in there and see as a part of their kind of like page transparency kind of stuff. But you can see anybody's ads that's running. So you can definitely go and see, Nicole's ads. And it's, she was like, oh, the ad is of you. I'm like, damn, I should have if you want me to reshoot it. And I'm like, how's the click-through rate? Is it resonating? Because I'll reshoot it. Like, I just got my hair done yesterday. Like, let me.
Now that I do, let me do a little bit better now that I know we're using it for.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And it came from just frustration of just being like, all right, let me hurry up and get this out. But now it's, it's resonating and it's performing. So,
Absolutely. And like I said, I'll link to our episodes so you guys can see about the products we share here. I want to all the people. So two more quick questions, and then we'll get to kind of the wrap up. Which this is such a good conversation. I don't want to wrap up, but we have to. So my first one. So on the other side, we talked about the imagery of ads. The ad copy for those who are like, I hate writing. I'm not a writer. I get this all the time with blogging and SEO assist. I know you get this with ads and copy. I'm not saying how important. I know it's really important, but if you just write what you would normally write, or what should you or should you not write? Let's tell you.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have a framework that I like to use, that I like to teach my clients. I'm going to tell you all the framework because we like to share here. And so this framework is what you use for when you're shooting videos as well as writing copy. And what I like to tell people is that, you want to sound like yourself. You want to be authentic and use the word, and more so use the words that your clients use, right? Like, and I think about the example I use sometimes is soda versus pop. Right? Like I say soda, some people say pop, right? If your clients are more pop people, make sure you use the words and use the language that they're using. If they're more soda people, use the language that they use, because we want to make sure that we are describing our things and our offers in the way that our clients are thinking about them. Right. Because we don't want it, we don't want things to go over people's heads. Sometimes, especially when we're the expert in the field, sometimes we can use expert language. So we really have to kind of like bring it down to where our clients are at, because our clients are a few steps behind us. Right. Like, and so that's why they're coming to us as the expert, because they want to get to, get closer to where we're at. So make sure you're using language that your clients use. But this hot ads framework, it stands for hook, open, and tell. And so the H stands for hook. And so H is really like about, traditional, like hooking people in. So like, I like to put a qualifying question on here. So like, are you struggling with X? Are you someone who's doing X, who is struggling with their SEO, right? Like, are you struggling to get traffic to the blogs that you're writing? Something like that, right? Something where people are saying like, the answer is yes or no. Like, so someone's saying, yep, that's me, or no, that's not me. If it's no, it's not me, they're going to keep on scrolling. If it's yes, it is me, then they're going to, want to read the rest. And so then that's when you move into the O. And O stands for open. And so essentially with the O, it really is opening people's minds to what's possible. And the way that you do that is by first talking about where they're currently at. And so relating to where they're currently at. And then talking about what's possible. So what the desired result is. So you go from like pain point, talk about the desired result. It's kind of like thinking about it like a bridge. Again, I like to use the bridge metaphor, but like, talking about where someone's at, talking about where they want to be, and then talking about how your expertise is, or your offer or your product or whatever, the freebie or whatever it is that you're running in the ad, that you're running the ad to, how that is going to help them to get from where they're at to where they want to be. And so that's where you also can put a little bit about your expertise, about maybe a testimonial, about how many people you helped. I've helped 400 business owners do XYZ, right? So you want to make sure that you're opening their minds to what's possible by first anchoring to where they're at now and where they want to get to, and talking about how there is a different way, there is another solution, and this product is going to help you to get to where you want to go. And then you want to make sure that you have the T stands for tell, which is a call to action, because we can't just expect people to go take the quiz or go download the thing or go watch the demo. We have to tell people what to do next. And so you start by capturing their attention. You then open their mind to what's possible, and then you tell them what to do next. And so that is something that you translate to copy, something you translate to videos. And it really helps you to anchor into making sure that what you're writing is not just a letter to yourself or a letter about you. Because that's one of the things I also talk about with ads, is that your ads are not about you. They really are about the person that's reading it and the person that is going to be going and downloading the thing or signing up for the thing, right? So you want to make sure that you're not just using it as a way to say, oh, I've done this is what I do. I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. And it's like, I'm sure that you are the greatest thing since sliced bread, but people do not care, and I hate to be blunt about it, but people do not care. They want to know, can you help me to get the result that I want? right? Period, right? Like, if it was just about being the best being the best, then you'd have a lot of people who are very mediocre who would not be as successful, right? But there are a lot of people out there have mediocre products, but they have great marketing, right? And so that's what you want to make sure that you're doing, right? So you're making sure that what you're talking about is helping them to understand that, and it's one of the things I think about, like with the story brand kind of framework, right? Like story brand is all about making your client the hero of the story. And that's very similar to what you want to do with ads, right? So you don't want to be bragging about yourself. You really want to be putting your ads and your copy into the context of, this is where you're at. This is where you want to get to, and I can help you get there. And I can empower you and give you the steps and the tools and all the things you need to get there. And so the first thing you need to do is to go download this freebie. The first step is to do this, right? And so that's really going to one of the things you want to think about with copy. And I will say copy is very important. Like, I think a lot of people think that their images or their creative is more important than copy. But I would argue that copy is actually one of the biggest drivers of success in ads. And the reason I say that is because I was running ads last year to a live workshop that I was doing. And I started my ads about 3 weeks in advance, which I like to give myself plenty of space because your ads have to ramp up and start to, be efficient. So give yourself as much time as you can. And so in week 1, my ads were running and the click-through rate was very, very low. It was like 0.3, something like that. And I like to see a click-through rate of 1 to 1.5% before I determine if something is successful. That's the first check for me, is like, what's the click-through rate? If the click-through rate is 1 or 1.5%, that means that it's resonating with the audience and that they're actually going to the landing page. Because if it's not resonating with the audience on Facebook and they're not clicking on it, they can't go to your landing page and sign up. So it really kind of has a down the funnel, a downflow of impact. And so what I was running these ads, the click-through rate was at like 0.3% or something. All I did was go in and change the copy. I like to write a couple versions of copy when I'm planning my campaigns, so that, I'm not having to come up with copy from scratch, right? I have a couple different options. I have a couple of different headlines that I can swap in. So I start with one, saw that wasn't resonating, changed the copy. Click-through rate went from 0.3% to like 1.25% or something like that. And so it made a significant difference. And then once I saw the click-through rate went up, then that's when I started to see the leads pouring in. Because again, if people aren't clicking on it, then they can't go to the landing page. And so that's the first check for you, is to make sure, is my click-through rate strong enough to be getting most of the people to actually go to the landing page? And then from there are other metrics and things that you want to check. But that's just, a story I tell people to illustrate the importance of copy. So make sure that if you see that your ads are not, resonating, you don't have to necessarily reshoot the ad. You may not even have to change out the image. You really just may need to update the headline and update the body copy, because then that'll help people to, understand. Because what people are going to do is that the video or the image is going to stop them from scrolling. The headline is what they're going to then check next to see, like, what is this about? And then they're going to go and read the body copy. And then they're going to go click on the ad, right? And so you just want to make sure that when you're thinking about how people consume ads and how people just consume things on social in general, keeping in mind that the image or the video is not necessarily the biggest driver of performance. It really is what's going to capture someone's attention. And then the copy is what they're going to go and read to kind of reinforce to make sure that they're kind of, resonating with what you're saying. And then they're going to go and take a look at your landing page.
That was just gold. Way I'm about to go do some hot ads.
Yeah.
But and even as you're saying that, I'm thinking what made me stop on the cat lady. And I listen to a lot of things. I'm usually someplace in the house where I don't want a lot of audio or something audible. So I usually am looking at videos with no sound. I depend on captions, so put those to y'all.
Yeah, definitely.
Look at things with no sound. And now that I think about it, as I was scrolling, what made me scroll down and then scroll even back up was that she said 2 things that resonate with me. She said data driven, and she said GA4. GA4, y'all know my SEOs. That's that's like buzzword, whether you love it or hate it. It is GA4. Somebody cares, right? So she had those 2 things in her copy, in her title. Right. And so that's what made me like, wait. Then I was like, wait. And I'm like, what is this? Oh, okay. And I spent that time and eventually, like I said, did actually sign up for her thing. So I got one more I'm going to say very selfish. I know it's going to help somebody.
Yeah.
Not today, it's tomorrow. It's going to help somebody. Yeah. But say you've got a company like a SaaS, right? Mm-hmm. it doesn't necessarily have a face of the brand. I'm the temporary face. I am not trying to be the face of the brand, but it's more of a face of the brand. I know a lot of people are doing like faceless YouTubes, TikTok, stuff like that, and they're depending on traffic, but you can be doing ads of that too. So if you don't have a brand where you would have a video of you talking, or you prefer not to have a video of you talking, or you don't have a lot of like, the photo shoot kind of poses, what kind of things do you use in those ads to help them to perform so that your SaaS that has no face
Yeah.
can start having a face in people?
Yeah, great question. Definitely. One, I would say, influencer content works really, really well in ads. And I would even say that, like when I was at Zappos towards, my time leaving, we were doing a ton of influencer ads. We were getting a lot of influencer content. And even as SaaS products, you can use influencers, right? So don't think influencers are only for e-commerce, because you may have someone in your space that really talks about, SEO in a great way, and they use your tool, and then you could go ahead and do that. And even like I was saying, like, with Nicole Barham's product, right? Like it's more like, she is the face of her brand for now, but for the most part, it's a digital product that doesn't require a face. And so that was me just giving my testimonial and, talking about that. So you can use your customers, you can use influencers, you can definitely use the more animated videos if that resonates with your brand. Like that client I said before, like, even though the videos of her talking converted the best, it's not to say that the other ads weren't converting at all. It's just that the ones with her talking as a founder, talking to her people, resonated more than the other types of ads. So you can do like, the voiceovers where you can do some animation, and you can also use your content, right? So like as SaaS, a lot of SaaS products do create a lot of really great content, particularly like blog content, And so you can definitely use that content and use, some more stock images to actually, resonate, to run those ads as well. So you don't have to necessarily like, be the face of your brand if that's not something that resonates with your brand or not something that you want, but at the same time, you can still lean into video via your customers, via influencers, getting some animated videos created, or having, so a video editor really kind of put together some cool videos for you. So there, you definitely can still use video, but I would definitely say that, if you do have a SaaS and you are looking to be the face of your brand, talk to your people, because those definitely resonate as well. And so you can try out a mix of things. I don't want people to think that, there's one particular ad strategy that works for SaaS products or one particular ad strategy that works for e-commerce. It really is about using a mix of things. And that's the great thing with ads, is that you can have, 3 or 4 different ads running from the same campaign, from the same budget pool. And you can start to see which one is resonating the most, and which one's bringing in the most conversions, which one's bringing in the most leads, which one has the highest click-through rate. So you can really start to see, that data split out by the different types of ads. And then once you got to start to see that, that's the signal for you to say, oh, this kind of ads are resonating. These testimonials that we do with our customers are resonating. These influencer ads we're doing are resonating, and so let's do more of that. So that's really my philosophy, is like, put some stuff out there, see what's working, and then do more of what's working and then do less of what's not working. And that's how you're going to definitely be able to, one, have a mix of ads that resonate with different people, but then you also get to a point where you don't have to be the face of your brand. You can have other people be the face of your brand, or other people talk about your brand in a way that resonates with their particular types of audiences.
I love that. Thank you so again, blessing us.
Yes.
When we us, right? And when I get back, the audience is blessed too.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. And a lot of the stuff I know is covered in your course. So I do not want to end this episode without telling people how to get more, how to work with you on this. So let us know about your course, and then how to find it, and then the other ways to work with you. And I might have one slide in question. One more slide.
Sure.
Probably incorporating this. One of the things that I love that you do in some of your just overall marketing is talk about who shouldn't hire an ad person. Like, I think I've seen, like, if you're not at 5,000, don't hire an ad person, do this.
Yeah.
As you're telling us how to do things with you, tell us who fits in what bucket better, because maybe just where they are right now until they grow to that next level.
Yeah, that's an awesome way to put it. So the ways to work with me, I have 2 different ways to work with me if you are looking to run ads. The first way is with my course, Maximize with Ads. And so if you have an in-house team or you want to run your ads yourself, and you really want to get the knowledge that you need to actually be able to, one, run your ads correctly and set them up correctly, because that's one of the biggest things I see is people don't structure their ads correctly from the beginning. And so they end up not being able to be successful, because it's it's just not set up right. So walking you through like the tech setup, walking you through how to create really hot ads, how to write the copy scripts, templates, all the things, right? All the stuff that we have in the course. We have a support group. I do office hours every month for people to just jump on and ask me questions. And so it really is a great place for you if you're like, hey, I want to learn how to do this myself in-house. And then the other way that I work with clients that I just rolled out, honestly, and this is the first podcast I'm talking about it on, is a ad sprint. And so that is something that is really kind of for you if you need me to help you get them set up and get them started, and then you want to take it over and do it yourself. Because what we'll do is in 30 days, we work together for a 30-day period. We'll do the strategy for you. We we'll go through your creative, figure out what creative is going to work best for your different types of ads. We write the copy for you. We'll do the tech setup, for installing the pixels and all the things. And then we get the ads launched for you. And then there's a week of us kind of like looking at the ads and optimizing and seeing how they're doing. And then we give you a playbook where you're like, you're leaving out and you're like, hey, here's all of the campaigns we think you should run. Here are some action items based on the data, all that kind of stuff. So you can really take it and go off, and kind of do things on your own. And so that is for you. So those two different options. And I do have an agency that I consult with. So if you are wanting to go the agency route, I'll talk about really kind of quickly when you should do each of those things. Because one of the things is like, if you want to run ads yourself, if you want to run ads, period, one thing you have to think about is that there's amount of money that you're going to have to give Mark, which is, giving it to Meta. And then there's a certain amount of money that you're going to have to either pay to an agency or you're going to have to pay to a freelancer. And so I'm of the belief that if you are spending less than $5,000 a month, that is something that is a very manageable spend for you to do in-house, something for you to do yourself. Or if you want to have a freelancer or something like that, you can go that route. But unless you're spending more than $5,000 a month in ad spend, and that's what I mean, like, actually putting it into the actual giving it to Mark, then it's going to be really hard for an agency. Let's say if your budget is $5,000 total and an agency is going to charge you a minimum of like $3,000 a month to be able to manage your ads. Then that agency only has like $2,000 to work with. But that agency has to really kind of get you a like 4 or 5x on your money every month in order for you to break even. Right? Like, so, because what they're getting the return on is the $2,000 that they put into the ads. But you as the business owner are seeing a $5,000, you're sending an $5,000 invoice. The ad agency is actually only putting $2,000 of that into the actual ad spend. And so they have to make a significant return in order for you to even just break even, to be able to kind of, get that $5,000 back. But if you're thinking about running it in-house, if you're, spending like $1,000 or so on a course, then you have that $4,000 left to be able to put into the ads and give that to Mark so that you can get a bigger return, right? And it's not to say that you have to spend the whole $4,000 up front, right? You really just have to be able to, strategically play around with that money, start to find some efficiencies, and then you scale. But when you're running things in-house and you're doing it yourself, you have more of that money that you can put in, that you can invest into the actual platform to get those results. And so keeping in mind that, like, if you're at a place where you're spending $5,000 or more, then that's a good place for you to be if you're wanting to manage an agency. But I've had people who've come to me saying, hey, I just want to spend about $500 a month and I need to hire a freelancer, or I need to hire somebody to do this. So it's like, okay, so your ad spend is $500. You're paying a freelancer $1,500. So you are technically spending $2,000 and you're expecting that freelancer to make a, 5x on your money on that $500 every month, right? The math doesn't math sometimes when you think about it that way. And so you really have to, think about, how do the numbers line up? Not just, do I want to learn how to do this myself, or can I do this in-house? Sometimes the numbers don't make sense for you to actually contract it out, because you'll get a bigger return and you have more control over your money when you're actually doing it yourself, or when you have someone that you hire in-house that you can train on how to do that, right? When I was at Zappos, it was just me running ads for Zappos. Like, me and my boss were the only ones who were running social ads for Zappos. The Google team had about 6 people on it. Okay. They had the Google. Exactly. They had a lot of people. They had a bigger budget, which is fine, but so it's very manageable for you to do this in-house. It's really just about making sure that you invest in the right education, you have the right support, you set things up correctly, you have the tools and the templates and all the things to help you to make things easier as you're managing. I mean, when I was at Zappos, there was a time when I was pushing out 50 to 75 different campaigns myself every month. And that was a lot. It's a lot. Like you as a business owner are most likely not going to be anywhere near that. But what I do in my course and then when people work with me is I had to create systems in order for me to keep up with all of that. And so I put those systems into my course so that way when you do this internally, you have the right systems in place to be able to manage this and to be able to, stay on top of it, right? To, giving you reporting templates and all that kind of stuff and telling you how to analyze your numbers and how to do testing and those kinds of things. So that way you have, a roadmap for doing this in-house and doing it yourself. And so that's what I would say if you're kind of debating between those things. And I did actually publish a podcast episode about that, breaking down the costs. And that I actually just posted on Roadmap to 1 million. And so I'm thinking about running some ads to that as well, because it's a really, really, a conversation that a lot of people have that I don't think that really kind of, they think about it too in-depthly when they're thinking about who is going to run their ads. They're just thinking like, I don't want to learn how to do it, so I'm going to have somebody else do it. And it's like, you can go that route, but you probably would make a bigger return if you either train somebody on your team to do it, or you just learn how to do it yourself, at least to start. And then you start to really kind of, amplify what you're doing. You start to see what's working, and then you can bring in an agency or another partner. Because a lot of times also, and I'll land it here, is that I've audited agencies for clients before, and sometimes the agencies don't know what they're doing either, right? There's a lot of agencies out here that run Google ads, and because they run Google ads, they think that they can also run Facebook ads, but that's not really the case. And so if you as a business owner go into and working with an agency, I want you to be informed enough about Facebook ads to be able to have a conversation with them so you can tell whether they're doing what they're supposed to be doing or what they're not supposed to be, or whether they're not doing what they're not supposed to be doing, right? Because I've audited agencies. Like originally when I started working at Zappos, my job was to oversee an agency. I oversaw the agency, saw that they weren't doing things correctly and that we could do this better in-house. And so within a year, we bought 80% of our ad spend in-house, because that agency it was a very expensive agency and they just weren't doing things, weren't getting the performance that we should have been getting. And so when we took things in-house, we had more control. We were able to get a bigger return on our money because we weren't paying out agency fees. And so really consider that. It's not just about, do I want to do it or do I not want to do it? It really does come down to the numbers also. So really make sure that you're painting a fuller picture of what's going on rather than just thinking like, oh, do I want to do this or do I not want to do this?
I love that. And we'll link to that episode on just that ad spin. And that's why I wanted to ask, because I love the fact that you say it, on your posts and things like that. But I feel like we also need to have more of those real talk kind of conversations. I feel the same way about SEO when people are like, will you do it for me? I'm like, you don't even understand your audience yet. So you're really better off learning those things. So that way, whether it's me or someone else or whomever doing your SEO, you've got a foothold. And the more data you come to us with, the better results we can even get you when you start doing done for you. But not everyone needs, and it's not even always a money thing. Like they might be making money, but if you're making money other places and not making money with this particular avenue, you're still starting with this particular avenue at zero. Mm-hmm. So you're making money organic and you never ran an ad. You might want to try it so you can have some data and some information. So when you reach out to Stacy, y'all started something. Same thing. Vice versa. If you've been doing this with ads, it is not the same as SEO, and you're going to need to do some blog posts before you come to me.
Yeah.
Right. So I love that. I love having those real conversations. I feel like that's almost missing in our whole online, starter business industry, that people are always like, and some of it's rooted in, I want you to buy my stuff. Right. Mm-hmm. So tell you not to work with an agency because they want to be that agency you work with. So they're not going to be real with you. And so when I see you post those posts, I'll know that I'm always silent, like, yes, this is what we need. Right. So I'm rooting for you. Yeah. If I see one of those posts, even if I don't say anything, I'm like, yes, because I know this is more the real conversations that a lot of business owners need to hear, see, and have. So thank you so much for sharing that. So as we're wrapping up, normally we do a lightning round, but this was so good. We don't got time for those questions. Yeah, real questions. Yeah, good questions we needed to know now. But I want to thank you so much for being here. I'd love if you just say all your links 1 or 2 more times. Of course, it'll be in the show notes for those driving, walking, watching. Tell us where to find you and all the other good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So make sure that you follow my podcast, Roadmap to 1 Million. It's on all the podcast platforms. And I also have a quiz. So if you are trying to figure out like what is that missing ingredient from your $1 million marketing strategy? Meaning you're really trying to scale, you're really trying to accelerate your growth, and either you've hit a revenue plateau or you're really just not sure what to really focus on next. I created a quiz called What's Missing from My $1 million Marketing Strategy, that when you take this quiz, it's very quick. It'll really give you a comprehensive deep dive into where you need to focus in order to scale your business, in order to take your marketing to the next level. So go to stacyzeal.co/quiz. It's stacyzeal.co/quiz. And you can take it there, and it'll really give you a really in-depth report, and it'll let you know, like, are ads your next best move? Or, hiring a team your next best move? Like, what are the different things that you need to do in order to scale your business when you think about the marketing? So definitely make sure you take that quiz. And you can find me all over these social streets, y'all. I'm on all the platforms. At stacyzeal.co. You find me all over the, Instagram, Facebook, all the things. And I will say, like, my personal Facebook page is where I post most of my content. So definitely make sure you send me a friend request or follow me there. And, I'm also on LinkedIn and all the places as well.
Well, thank you again so much for being here. I'm going to be taking that quiz too. You guys, audience, make sure you guys see all the things that Stacy has mentioned. Take the quiz. Really start thinking about how you can and when you can start using ads to add that fire, add that extra light to your business and keep things going. The way the world is going, we're all going to need a little bit of everything. So get out of the mindset, I can only do or only need to do one thing. The better, the more you diversify, the faster. Get it started. Start doing those different parts of your marketing mix now, you're going to have better, long-lasting, sustainable results. So thank you again, Stacy, for being here. Audience, I will see you guys in the SEO Growth Mob group where we will talk about this and all the other episodes. I will see you guys later. Have a good day.
Bye.
It is business. Big business.
Thanks for listening to the Girl Get Visible podcast. I hope you've learned a lot about how to get your brand out of sea of sameness and start to get visible. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show, and let us know how much you enjoyed it and what you've learned from this episode of the Girl Get Visible podcast. I'll see you in the next episode.
Get visible. Girl, get visible. Get visible. Girl, get visible.